Yo, welcome back people, and as you can see there's another vintage sample that I'm going to break down. Before I get into this video, as you can see 64% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Let's get straight into the video. So the first thing I did with this sample is I was making it slow, vibey, and sort of just like melodic and have that nice textured vintage sound. So the first thing I did a B minor 11th I believe, then I did just a F sharp minor 11th, and that's how it progresses through the whole sample. Then as you can see probably here, I added like major chords, so it just bounces into the minor chord, has that nice rhythm that I was going for. So as you can see, there's like higher pitched notes that are just like accents, and they just use it to make like a natural piano, like playing sad emotional vibe. And I've like quantized these so they're all like just off the grid, and it just makes it so natural and just sounds real. So that sound was just a grand piano from Omnisphere, but I didn't really like the sound of it. It was just too natural. So as I always do, I just use the reels. I turned the flutter up a lot because I wanted to give it that nice detuned sound. Then the duck in so it wasn't just going down as much. Then the harshness to just a little bit less, just so it doesn't give as much warmth. And then as always, a light room reverb and an EQ. Then I got a second piano which I layered on top and used this vintage upright close. And what I like to do in here is just go in here and just turn like the recording noise all the way up, just so it gives that like nice sound of a natural, real, realistic piano. And all I did with that sound is just pitched it up 1 octave. As you can probably hear, it's very like dark and has like lo-fi sound. So again, another reels, but this time even more flutter and wow, and then less ducking. And as I said, it has that lo-fi sound, so I've just literally took out lows and a lot of highs, so it just fits in and blends in perfectly on the other piano. Once tracked out, I just EQ'd a little bit, and this is how it sounds together. So after I did this, just want to add some textures and some perk loops. So I just added this rain sound. Might not be able to hear it, but I've turned it down a lot. It's just there in the background. And then next I use this only one perk loop that sounds like this dry. And what I've done with that, I've downsampled it to 2K, and then I just took out some lows and just brought it down in volume. Then I got this second only one perk loop that sounds like this. And all I did with that is just more EQ, but I layered them together so they sound like this. And they just bounce off each other perfectly. So I had the basis of the chords and how I wanted the structure to be of the sample. So I thought I'd make a breakdown version of vocals that I've added myself, so they sound like this. So it's not the greatest recording in the world, it's not amazing. So all I've done with that is just compressed it a little bit, just to give the vocals like a tighter, fixed like volume. Use this ambience, it just gives it a nice like room reverb, and it just feels like it's very like the raspiness of the voice, like that's how I explain it. Then a slight delay and just EQ'd. So once I had that, I just tracked them out. I had one version which was down pitched, and then one version that was just up pitched. What I like to do with these is pan them left to right so they just fit in a little bit better in the pockets. And I'd always have the higher version because it's a higher like frequency, I'd have it a little bit lower, and it just fits in and blends nice. So that was for the break, and I wanted another vocal which was separate from like the breakdown, so it sounds like this. And it's very simple, but it drives along with the percussion and it just fits in perfect. I've used the same vocal chain, it's no different really, but all I did was EQ a little bit differently. And as you can see here, I just took out a lot of different frequencies that I just felt like was too much. To just create more space and more room for the sample that I always like to do, I just use this 2 bars pan, so it just goes left to right. And it just gives a nice like listen, especially through the ear with a lot of like the piano melodies going on your ear. You can just hear it nicely. Next sound I added was this Mando pad from Mellotron. And it's like a lead sound. It sounds like this. And just a slow, nice vibe with the delay where you can hear it coming back. That just builds a nice tension and just gives a nice like drive to the sample. What I like to do a lot now is I like to use this lossy and just put it to 64 kilobits per second, and it really just gives it like a nice grittiness and just like this saturated sound to like the sample, and it just fits in perfect. And all again, same reverbs, EQs and delays that I always use. So after I had that, I wanted to focus more on that breakdown where I had the separate vocal and where I just cut the piano out. So it just gives it a different taste to the whole sample overall, breaks it down a little bit and just gives it a different listen. So I used a Scarby Mark 1 electric piano Rhodes from Contact. So I used the same chords, but I just strummed them differently and had less going on. So they sound like this. Nice atmospheric, calm vibe that just fits in perfectly. Again, the same reels that I put on the piano gives it nice grittiness to it. Same room reverb, but just a little bit different in the settings. Just give it a nice atmosphere. Then an EQ and delay as usual. The delay is here. Just the same ping pong delay that I like to use all the time. Next we had this Rickenbacker bass where I just use like the downfouring of the chords just to give it that nice rhythm. And then what I like to use, again, a P bass from Corey Wong. I turned down the highs on this, it just was too open and the frequencies was just too much. And then just turned down the lows because it was very bassy and I just wanted to cut it out a little bit. And then again, I just cut out some rumble, high frequencies so it wasn't as bright. Then too much bass still, so I just took out at 66. Just fits in perfect. Next I added this dark flute from Dupe 8 on Analog Lab. And again, simple chords, I cut out a lot, just the same simple chords. And as you can hear, it pulses in, and that's because of the like the synth sound. It was just too much to be hitting with a quick attack. So what I've done, I've just used this shaper box 1 bar and I've just changed it a little bit so it just comes in and out a little bit more perfectly. Had quite a heavy decay because I wanted to just build atmosphere and just have it as an ambience in the background. Then for the third part of the sample, just added these strings that are layered and they're panned. So this one's on the left and that one's on the right. Then I use this reverb plate which just makes strings sound like they're actually real and just in the room correctly, and it just fits perfect. Then lastly, for like the last section, I just used a 1-note piano. It's the second piano that I used, but it's higher and it sounds like this. another reels on it. It already had a reels on it, but I put another one just to give it that weird sound. Then I used this J37 tape delay, brought the mix down on each side just so it wasn't going too crazy. So for the master chain, I like to use this can opener and then just take out some bass and boost the treble. It just gives it a more standout effect. And then again, use virtual mix rack, took out a little bit of bass because it's just too overpowering. Then just boosted like mids and highs. And then again, pretty much EQ'd. Then I use this flanger with like a 50% mix and it just gives it a nice thin, like weird modulated sound. Then after that, export the sample and I brought it down by 3 semitones, and this is how it all sounds together. So yeah, that is the whole sample together. It just come out beautiful. It's such a good sample, one of my favorite that I made. If you like these type of videos, can always do more. Get commenting what type of videos you want to do. More vintage stuff, more R&B stuff, you know what to do. Follow my Instagram, it's going to be on the screen. Let me know in there on DMs if you want just any ideas or if you want to work. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, people. Peace.